very good evening to each one of you. On behalf of the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, we welcome each one of you to this webinar on pollution perspective and its relevance on World Environment Day. Before we could start the session, can you go to the next slide, Purushottam? Yeah. Uh, Before we start the session, we like to have a 1 minute of tribute to all those who have lost their lives due to the COVID, and we pray for the soul, rest in peace. And also, we express our gratitude to all the frontline COVID-19 warriors for the invaluable services. I request for a 1 minute silence from each one of you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind cooperation. We'll move on to the session. This session has been organized under the aegis of the Infrastructure, Energy, Environment and Water Expert Committee of BCIC. We would like to especially thank Mr. Ramesh Saligram, Chairman of the Expert Committee and the Vice President, Projects and Facility, Bosch India. And also we'd like to thank also Ms. Anuradha, who is a co-chair, Ms. Shivayogi, Mr. Rajendra Hegde, who's been a mentor for the committee and who is also the president of the Biddi Industry Association, and also the general manager at the Toyota Kirloskar Motor Corporation for curating this session for the benefit of our members. We would also like to especially thank our president, Mr. T.R. Parshuram, who has helped us to facilitate this session for the benefit of our members. Today's session will be addressed by Mr. Srinivaslu, IFS member, Secretary, Karnataka Pollution Control Board. The objective of today's session is to provide an opportunity to each one of us to pause, reflect, and take responsible steps to preserve and enhance the environment. The session will be moderated by Mr. Ramesh Saligram, Chairman of the Infrastructure, Energy, Environment and Water Export Committee at BCIC. On behalf of the Chamber, we express our sincere thanks to Mr. Srinivaslu for accepting our invitation to address on this important subject. We would also like to thank all the participants for joining in today's session. We request all the participants to kindly mute your mic and webcam option. This will enhance and keep the bandwidth strong, as well as avoid any disturbance in the background. You could post your questions in the chat box and the speaker will respond to your questions. Or you could raise your hand. That will help us to identify yourself to ask the question. May I now invite our president, Mr. T.R. Parshuram, to welcome the gathering to start the event. Over to you, President, sir.
Thank you. Very good evening, all. First of all, I extend a very, very hearty welcome to Sri Srinivasulu, Member Secretary, Pollution Control Board. Sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We are honored, sir, with your august presence. In fact, yesterday, the article what is written in Deccan Herald has created such a huge wave. I think I would call it as wave 2.5. Already 50,000, viewers, and as Mr. Vidyashankar says, it'll hit the 100,000 mark very shortly. I think very informative, very, very deliberated article. I think it's a must all our members should read. Already I have shared it in our groups and I'm getting a lot of positive comments. And also his video speech also is available. He's an amazing person. In fact, when I met him for the first time, along with Mr. Vidyashankar, I think he gave us a lot of energy. In fact, he talked about very, very simple things of environment, how we should be responsible for Mother Earth. I think he actually touched us, actually. In fact, I have no words. I think that time, in fact, we were all discussing that here is a person who can really change a country like India. And we are all very blessed to have him as the member secretary. In fact, friends, I have to tell you, under his dynamic leadership, he has initiated several reforms in the Pollution Control Board. In fact, the concern for operations, concern for establishment of new factories, and the kind of reforms he has brought, including the concerned fee reduction for the industries, I think his role has been inevitable, and he has been owning the issue. In fact, the beauty of this great man, he has been following up with us, and in fact, he has also started a new software for getting all the environmental details in one single touch. I think it was launched by the Honorable Chief Minister recently. I was also there in that program. So once again, I welcome you all. Mr. Srinivasulu has been with the Pollution Control Board, and this particular subject, pollution perspective and its relevance on the World Environment Day, is very, very close to his heart. I also welcome all the participants for this important session. You all know that the World Environment Day is the biggest awareness campaign launched by the United Nations in the early 70s, which is celebrated across the world on June 5th every year to cherish the nature around us. The theme of the World Environment Day 2021 is Reimagine, Recreate and Restore. Very beautiful 3R. This day provides an opportunity for citizens to pause, reflect and take responsible steps to preserve and enhance the environment. The environment that we live in is very important not only for our health but also for our future generation. So it is the responsibility of each human being in this planet to protect it. According to the Central Pollution Control Board of India, we generate close to 3.3 million metric tons of plastic every year. It is our responsibility to control it. In India, unique efforts have been taken by the government to control the pollution. Likewise, many private companies are recycling the waste and converting them into different types of elegant products. Bangalore itself, gentlemen, generates close to 5,500 tons of solid waste daily, of which 4,500 tons is produced by households. Ladies and gentlemen, this government has approved the setting up of Bangalore Solid Waste Management, which will look into the collection, transportation, and processing of waste, apart from waste to energy initiatives. The second wave, all of us know, is more widespread and more alarming than the wave one, and it has completely disrupted systems, and it has put pressure on the existing waste management operations. Volunteers are stretched chasing beds, ambulances, plasma, and much more. And the focus on everyone's mind is not on the waste management. Use of housekeeping staff, sanitary workers, and other informal workers testing more positive are on the rise. As frontline workers, they are often at the receiving end, sometimes because of how we dispose the waste, and sometimes because we don't care of what we dispose. Therefore, I would like to emphasize here that due to the movement of restrictions and the significant slowdown in social and economic activities, air quality improved in many cities, water pollution has come down in some places. Among the Indian cities with a population of more than a million, the mega city, 10 million, I think Bangalore has emerged as one of the best cities for ease of living parameters among 49 million plus cities in 2020. Among the 49 cities in India, of course, Bangalore is a mega city with more than 10 million population, where there is no debate on the whether medical facilities, education, and jobs. There is another face of the city which has made the headlines. It's often terrible traffic, garbage woes, and polluted lakes. The civic infrastructure has not kept up the pace with the garden city's rapid growth, giving rise to some cynicism over the ranking. But the criteria considered for the ranking are the reasons why the city made the cut. Despite recording relatively better air quality last year owing to a strict lockdown, air pollution continues to be a serious public health issue, which also drastically improves our economy. Bangalore, which has fared better than Delhi and Mumbai, still recorded an estimated of 12,000 avoidable deaths owing to PM 2.5 air pollution. Among the 6 Indian cities featured in the global analysis, Bangalore is rated better than Delhi and Mumbai, but is worse off when compared with Chennai, Hyderabad, and Lucknow. The fact that poor air quality climbed at an estimated 16,000 into 1,60,000 lives in the 5 largest cities alone should give us pause, especially in a year when many cities were seeing lower air pollution levels due to some less economic activities. So I'm sure all these points will be deliberated by our thought leader and member secretary, Sri Srinivasulu. So Bangalore Chamber of Industries and Commerce also made several representations to government. One such representation is the reduction of concern for operations fees. And I want to thank Mr. Srinivasulu. Under his dynamic leadership, he immediately took up that issue along with the industry minister, Commissioner Industry Commerce, and also with the industry minister and environment minister. And he has resolved that matter almost. Now I'm expecting that kind of a notification should come anytime. So we are very thankful to you, sir, for the wonderful leadership as always. And it is our blessing that you are able to spend time with us today. So without taking much of your time, I leave it to Ramesh ji for the opening remarks before asking our speaker of the day to deliver his address. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Sir, welcome to this session today. Thanks for accepting and in your busy schedule, quickly you could accept our invitation. On this occasion, I just remember one small story of Dr. Abdul J. Kalam, our late president. So he was just sharing a short story. The story goes like this. It seems he brought one bird into his house. After a few days, the bird flew away. And after some time, he brought one more squirrel to his house. That squirrel again stayed for a few days and again it left. So then he planted a tree. After some days, squirrel and bird both came back. So this is something like now where we can restore our ecosystem by doing small things. So this is where we thought on this occasion, we cannot find anybody better than Mr. Srinivasulu, IFS, for sharing his thought about the significance of World Environment Day and elaborate the theme of the year. I understood it is the restoration of ecosystem, and this is what you would be looking at and guiding us. And this opportunity to all our industry captains today to gain hints on what to focus and how to prioritize action towards restoring our ecosystem. And of course, this will bring us retaining our glory to Karnataka and Bangalore in specific. Not making much time, I would like to ask you to take the stage, sir. I will get back to you maybe after your address, maybe last 15 minutes, we can just give time for colleagues to have some clarification or questions to ask. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
In fact, it is such a platform to share thoughts regarding environment, ecosystem restoration, etc. during Environment Day. I am very conscious because to whom I am addressing today, if I start talking about technology, pollution, I will be a very small person because I know people, across the tab are experts in their domain and they are masters of management and they are driving country in this industrial revolution and they are responsible for the 30% GDP of the country. Today, I'm just focusing my few thoughts across all the honorable members because I'm really puzzled. Some questions are hitting my mind ever since I took charge as Member Secretary of Pollution Control Board. Why is so? Why is so? Okay. So today I'm just putting across those puzzles, seeking answers from honorable members here today. Number one, see, 21st century, after independence, 70 years after independence, today you go across everywhere. Backbone of the country, people say farmer. Okay. I was just Googling some stats. Industry contributes nearly 30% of the GDP, whereas agriculture now stands at around 15% of the GDP. Industry today may be the largest employer in the country. Small, big, small, all kind of industries. Maybe the biggest employer in the country. Industrialists derive max economic power. Along with economic power, there comes drive political power. If they are not kings, at least they are definitely kingmakers. I know very well. When all these things are there, still industrialists are not called, our industry sector is not called as backbone of the country. Even today, if we are calling farming as backbone of the country, there is something wrong. It really puzzles me why, in spite of such significant presence in the country's economy, why industry sector is not called backbone of the country. It is the biggest puzzle. I'm yet to get some answers today. Second puzzle, we as board, as a regulatory authority, when we are interacting with industries, public, everything, and in our enforcement wing, everywhere, I get maximum complaints against an industry by local people. It is not surprising, but it is intriguing me, because the moment the industry comes in some area, automatically the land value in that area zooms, real estate hike, all the farmers in that area will get maximum financial benefit. Industry will become the maximum employer for the local people across different employment. Some may be at the manager level, some may be at the labor level. If there was no industry, those people might be having a simple livelihood of farming. Definitely an employment and industry will be much more fetching economically better than a farming community. Otherwise, for over years, their economic considerations by agriculture will be at some level. Third, industry will give a place its identity. In fact, if I take some random example, Toranagalli is nothing. It's a small town because I'm from that area. It is, nobody knows it. But there comes an industry, suddenly that place catches the imagination of the public. It gets its recognition at state level, national level, or international level. We can have so many examples like this. But the maximum complaints on an industry comes from local people. Why? Is it not puzzling? The community that is getting benefited out of industrial activities in an area is up in agitation against the industry. I'm not getting into small nitty-gritties of political issues here and there, but by and large, okay, why it is happening? Now, if you look at these puzzles, I was thinking, come on, yeah, they give biggest employment, they give economy, they give name, fame, and everything, but still they are not welcome. Why? If something people are not happy with this, there is something else. There is some lacuna. There may be some issues. Okay, that's why these things are continuing. Now, what could be those issues which are which are getting into this kind of issues? Now, many times I see the industrial revolution, so-called industrial revolution after 150 years when we are experiencing, industry to a large extent has put all its energy, resources, thoughts, directions into enhancing their production, enhancing their productivity, enhancing their profits, developing their brand imaging, okay? Whereas somewhere they forgot the activity that they do will have a product and will have a byproduct. I'm not calling it as waste. It will have a byproduct. Now, traditionally, the importance of industry XYZ and managing the byproduct of their activity is generally left to nature. Okay. If it is air pollution, matlab chhod do. If it is water pollution, Ganga will take care of all these things to a large extent, unless otherwise of late it is getting much importance. So there is a linear way. It's a single thought that we have looked after. But see nature, okay? Pollution is never heard maybe 200 to 300 years back when there was no industrialization. Life is on this earth for millions of years and performs much more complex, complex chemical, physical, biological activities than what even can imagine. But there is no pollution in nature. It is basically a simple formula nature has found out and managing its existence for millions of years, wherein it is not in linear direction, but it is in cyclical direction, wherein any activity, when it produces a product and a byproduct, the byproduct should become raw material for another activity. Then in that activity, if there is product and byproduct should become raw material for another activity. So there should be a cyclical activity chart that closes the loop. That's why I think when we study ecosystem, nowhere we study linear. Everywhere we study hydrogen cycle, water cycle, nitrogen cycle. See, have you ever studied an ecosystem as in a linear way? No, it is always cyclical. That is why nature has found a perfect balance. You go to, if you are in city, you only see people and buildings, but when you are going to forest, in a square kilometer area, life you see big trees, climbers, herbs, shrubs, birds, insects, fungus, virus, animals. Multiplicity of different life forms are there in 1 square kilometer area. Why it is so? It is because they found out if a plant is photosynthesizing, oxygen is a waste for that activity. There comes an animal, this oxygen is a raw material for that animal to live next to it. And when animal is living, the dung is waste by that animal. And this dung becomes a perfect manure for plant seed to germinate. See, I'm just giving a simple example. That's why you see a perfect system in nature. Everything is in sync with each other and in a cyclical form. But just compare the multiplicity of different life forms when we see an ecosystem which is self-sustaining with the activities, so-called industrial or economic activities that we take up. A company, we see a lot of examples where some phone company or some car company, from their product, there was some error in some production system or component. Some component is not working or faulty component, some faulty cell kind of a thing. They call back millions of their products and replace with new products because they don't want to compromise their brand value. Come what may, they spend money is nothing there. for them brand is very important. When they are so conscious of their brand, when they are so conscious of their product, have you ever heard important bigger companies here and there spending so much of amount on the management of their byproduct? Because over the years, it's a human, our human psychology is very crazy psychology. When it comes industrialization, all our thoughts became, I want to increase my production, I want to increase my productivity, I want to increase my brand value, I want to increase my comfort. So in the books of industrialization or in the books of economics, we only hear these words: production, productivity, profit. Anywhere do we hear diversification? Anywhere we hear byproduct management? Only off late recently, after 150 years, when we are in this kind of a mess, today we are hearing those words. So today we are paying for the linear thought, linear direction in which industrialization went. Today the need of the hour is industrial revolution. हमने बहुत देख लिया है. Today what is required is industry diversification. As many as industries, different kinds of industries, like different life forms, different kinds of industries should come which sync with each other, which coexist with each other, create a perfect balance of co-living, co-sharing that minimize their load on environment. I am surprised because all industrialists are very intelligent people. Their management skills are second to none. But see the pathetic condition, pathetic systems that we have created as far as industry sector is concerned. In Karnataka, we have so many industrial area development boards areas. Now, industry, KIDB will earmark areas and then allot industries. If you just go and see the industries that are there in that industrial area, sometimes there is a pyrolysis unit coming up which emit so much of carbon, smoke, everything. Next compound, I see a tur dal factory where the this carbon dust that is emitted from this pyrolysis unit smoke is falling in next to tur dal, which is an edible product which people eat. How on earth we we create a system where the two industries that are neighboring to each other are not in sync with each other. They are allelopathic effect. In ecosystem, this allelopathic effect is completely ruled out. If there is some life form, the other life form that is next to it is in perfect symphony with the other one. This is a simple solution. Nobody need not do research on this. It's common sense. But how come we have created a system of industrial area development boards where industries are randomly coming out without, in fact, if they are not in sync with each other, it's okay, but they should not be allelopathic to each other. They should not be counterproductive to each other. But that is the system we have made. Unfortunate. We can't blame anybody but ourselves for this. Unless we at least recognize the fact today, undo the damage slowly, and don't do this damage in future, that will be a big thing that we can do for industrial sector. Second, each industry we know is responsible or emit some byproduct. I am not calling waste, byproduct. Let it be effluent, let it be poisonous gas. Let's take example of effluent. Now this effluent has to be treated in a common effluent treatment plant. how come? Well, if there is a house, if there are people are living even in a small village will have a dedicated place next to village for people to address their natural call. It doesn't take a real research to find this. But here you find so many industries in an industrial area, and the treatment plant of the effluent that is generated from these industries, common effluent treatment plant, is 200 kilometers away. Okay, and the waste from this has to be carried 200 kilometers to be treated in common effluent treatment plant. Who is responsible for this system? I'm not getting into that issues right now, because industry sector, ADB, Pollution Control Board, and all concerned responsible, whosoever were there in the sector, everybody are accountable. Okay. Now, how can you even think of creating a system where there is source of byproduct generation? I'm not calling waste, even if it is waste. Now you are creating a 200 kilometer away, there is a system for its treatment. Now Pollution Control Board is entrusted with the responsibility of managing this system. Take it from me, a tanker that is going from an industry with all everything, by the time it crosses 200 kilometers, even if there is a leakage in the tanker, okay, nobody on this earth can find out whether it is treated, whether it is not treated, whether it is, you call it as a dumping or you call it as a leakage, you can call it anything. At the end of the day, the system is so incompetent to address byproduct management. Now, in fact, I am surprised, in Karnataka, not even a single industrial area have piped effluent transport system to be treated in CTP. Who has to tell us that the simplest thing is earmark an area for common effluent treatment plant in the industrial areas, at some, especially at the downstream, so that by gravity, effluent from all the industries generated from there could be transported to CTP and it is treated. Who has to come and, is it from some other country? People have to come and teach us. It is unfortunate. Even if you simply watch our parisara, nature, I keep calling, because I'm not getting into forest parisara here, because I'm addressing a different class of people. That is why. So diversification of industries and creating a proper robust infrastructure to address our effluent management system could have reduced, could have avoided all this kind of puzzles that I am putting across here, that why people are up, because at the end of the day, why people are show apathy towards industry, because somewhere they think these are creating problems, and you can get two kinds of people. Because of these problems, people are not happy with you. Second is, because there are problems, some people want to misuse this, misuse and play around the system and try to exploit industries. In both the ways, only industry is at the receiving end. That you should know very well. The third point I want to point out here is, sometimes I observe outsourced accountability by especially big industries. Recently, I had visited one well-known industry. I don't want to name here. It's spec and clean, okay, and it is much cleaner, much better than even some hospital. I was amazed and I was really impressed by the kind of systems they have created, everything is perfect. They take us to some air-conditioned room and then they show us all their parameters, everything intact, ZLD, no. Then after coming out, then I was asking our people, kya yaar, matlab, that industry looks so beautiful, ZLD, nothing, no pollution. Why still people are complaining, or environment around in that area is not in conformity with the standards that we prescribe? They simply told me, sir, this big industry is clean, but they have outsourced all their activities, polluting activities, to small fringe players who does all kinds of hanky-panky, and the created product or the end product will come here, where either it is assembled or packed or branded and it's marketed. Now, just see the situation. That is why I was telling, that big branded company, which did not mind spending millions of rupees for replacing their phone or car parts to keep up their brand value, simply outsourced their polluting activities to XYZ, and they did not bother to ensure whether that person who is operating is duly authorized, he has technical capability, economic competence to do things in a right way. Do you audit them financially? Do you audit them technically? Okay, nothing. It is I really wonder how vicarious liability principle is not being applicable in industry sector, whereas it's a standard legal discipline well across. If I am if I have a house and I rent that house to some illegal activity, the person who did illegal activity and the owner who rented that house to him, both are equally punishable, because I should have done that back checking of his credentials before leasing him, or even after leasing my property to him, I should constantly monitor that is he doing his activities lawfully or unlawfully. It is law of the land. How come this basic law of the land principle is somewhere lost in industry sector? This is also really puzzling me. Maybe sometimes I feel maybe these are the reasons where, though you are the backbone of the country, though you serve so much to a community, but still you are at the receiving end because you are not following principles of natural justice or nature's justice. Okay, when whole nature is trying to be cyclical in its resource management, industry sector is in a linear curve in its management of resources, whether it is energy, whether it is water, whether in their productivity, resource management, everything. It's a linear scale rather than circular scale. It is high time that the industry sector, having spent so much of time and energy in industrial revolution for 150 years, now it is high time that they start thinking about industrial diversification and getting into cyclical mode of stitching together different kinds of industries, different kind of activities. That is where we call recycle, reduce, reform, these kind of a thing, so that industry sector also becomes at least near to nature's cycle or natural principles, so that it receives the acceptance of public and it becomes sustainable. It becomes sustainable. Now, sometimes again the perception of industries. Okay, to address this problem, I see many times people, industry sector will come to us and then say, sorry, under CSR we are helping out a lot of people. addressing their problems. Here also I have I still get I'm not clarified. I'm not clear. See, you should understand one thing: the human psychology. आप कितना भी एक आदमी को free दो, कभी भी you cannot satisfy anybody by giving freebies. The more you give, the more the person demands, and you can never satisfy any person by giving freebies. This weakness of human psyche is properly well used by parallel political system, political sector, where come election time, maybe to gain his confidence, to gain his loyalty. We hear a lot of different parties giving freebies to gain their confidence. Now, these two are different systems. Election एक time होता है, freebie देने के बाद after election when you win, the game is closed. Then the terms of engagement is completely different. Okay, so this freebie sector of gaining confidence of people, it works very well with political sector, and they are making use of it. It's okay. But when it comes to industry sector, you are not like in an election. You are not like in an election scenario where one time kuch hua, then afterwards you are through. No, because you are there forever. You are there, and your presence activity is in continuous term. So, by giving freebies whatsoever, it could be anything and everything. By giving freebies to people around them, we ran school, we are giving them drinking water, kind of. Because there are governments, to do all these things. Government is duty bound to provide basic facilities to people. Industry sector, if they should focus their energy on, along with their product, then by-product management and creating a sense in the local community that you are making the living atmosphere there much more hospitable than when you are not there, by increasing greenery, by increasing air quality, by doing lot of groundwater storage activities so that their bore wells are recharged, their wells they get good water. Okay, so that, and other benefits anyhow you are giving them employment and those kind of a thing. By this, what happens, I'll tell you. Saab was mentioning about my article yesterday. See, today, when we see river polluted water stretches 17 in the state, I, as a member secretary, consciously aware that if there are 100 units of pollutants in the state today, nearly 80 units we may have to ascribe to urban local bodies in the form of sewage, in the form of dry waste, in the form of pollutant, in the form of soap, X, Y, Z, anything. Maybe 20 units industry have to take responsibility. Now, very cleverly, society has changed the course of discourse by ascribing industry sector responsible for pollution. Now, because of lockdown, member secretary, pollution control board, we get so many calls. Sir, lockdown ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬಂದ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಈಗ ಫುಲ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಈಗಾದ್ರೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್, ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅವರೇ. Okay. Now, board, we will be taking some testing air, water everywhere, and then we know that air quality has improved because there are no traffic on the road, nothing to do with industry. And water quality, if you really test, there is no change in water quality. Now, by closing industries, we have not improved water quality. But nobody buys this theory. Nobody buys this theory. Everybody, society expects board to tell that industry is closed, now water quality improved. Now it takes, we as a regulatory agency will have to, stretch a bit and argue with people to bring him to proper negotiation and then proper course of discussion. I wonder here, why industry sector, okay, is not taking up this cause of at least bringing these facts in public, that yes, we are accountable for 20% of the pollution and we are doing this, so that this 20% is made to 18, 15 or 10%. But the people today, if they are facing the biggest pollution issues, it lies somewhere. It lies somewhere. That should be documented, that should be assessed, and that should be addressed. Otherwise, because you people will become the easy targets for XYZ to target, and in the process you are also in bad position, and whole humanity will be in bad position, because now the real culprit is not caught. He is escaping every time. So industry sector has to think differently to tell where they stand. That is why by doing this, you should become the backbone of the country, not just economically but ecologically also. Then you will really bolster. In this respect, I was very happy when the CI came forward with green core rating proposal with board, where I was so happy, because at least there is some effort that is going on now to document properly that what different efforts that an industry is making to improve its green rating, reduce its energy, reduce its, in all sense, reduce its carbon footprint on this earth, so that they say that we are much better than what this land would be without our presence there. So this will instill confidence in everybody that industry is synonymous with pollution. Today, if there is an industry, that means it is pollution. This engagement, it is your responsibility to change this scale of engagement and bring everybody to the realities of today, that who is major culprit and how it should be addressed. In this respect, in fact, somewhere I also find fault with industries. Even there could be, I'm not telling board is doodh ka dhula hua hai. Problems are with us, but then government is a running thing. Today XYZ will be there, people get transferred, new people will come, these kind of things happening. So policies keep changing. No, but as an industry sector, at least you should highlight the issues towards in the right direction. I'll tell you a small example. We have, everybody knows, board has a system of manifest in the movement of waste from point A to B. Just imagine, see, before coming here, I was working in another department. You will be surprised. Wood from forest, if it is coming to a sawmill, you know what is the path it takes? If you want to cut tree, you need some foresters to come and inspect and then give permission. Once tree is cut, then when it is made pieces, again he will come and say how many pieces, what is the measurement, kind of a thing, and he will issue a pass of 3 pages, 3 different copies, essentially which has to be written by putting a carbon sheet, so that there is no forgery and then there is no misuse. Those 3 copies, one will be with the lorry, one will be the owner, and one will go to forest officer, concerned forest officer. That permit, when that vehicle is moving, in all checkposts there will be tappa that yeah, it has moved this time, it takes 10 hours to go, kind of a thing. And finally, when it comes to sawmill, when it receives there, he will also put a tappa and then tell the local officer that so much wood has come, through this pass. A simple wood, when it is moving from a source to final consumption, takes this much of strict enforcement route. If a effluent is moving from an industry, hazardous waste, to either CETP or TSDF, how much care we should take? Because the product with which we are handling here is a hazardous waste. It is danger to life and property. So definitely it needs a much more stricter systems for its movement from place A to final destination. For that, we have a system called manifest. So, me as a member secretary feels really down that the manifest has to be generated by the industry producer, pass on through a transporter, and finally ends up in recycler like TSDF or CETP. Simple concept. But all these years, it is a reverse osmosis. The recycler, to create market demand, he will generate manifest. He will dictate terms that he will treat effluent at the cheapest rate, lowest rate. And industries are after them bargaining that who will do at their cheapest rate. Forget about whether it is treated or not. Now the economic is taking over the ecological issues of waste management, and he is generating manifest, bidding with industries. And can you imagine he will be able to do a good job? Who is accountable for right disposal of the waste they generated? Is it recycler or is it producer? It has to be producer, but it was driven by recycler. How can we create such a messy systems and see that okay, we are eco-friendly or environment-friendly? It's a big puzzle. I am really surprised. That is why recently we launched to. I'm not getting into digging past and then wasting my energy and my peace of mind. So at least to rectify the system, I started e-manifest system where the producers, industrialists, initiate, generate manifest. We have given them the authority to enter the data. We have given them logins to generate their manifest, so that they only generate, they only authorize, so that it is treated, it is transported through transporters and to final destination. We as board is a watchdog. We as a regulators are simple watchdog. We are watching how it is moving. So I just want to get data that who is generating, who is transporting, and where it is treated. Okay, how much and when and where. So now at least I am getting data on different kinds of hazardous waste that are generated and transported. Now, in 21st century, if I have to develop a system to track movement of waste, what we were doing for all these years, how much damage, including me, board, would have done on this earth, that that would have harmed so many people who are accountable. If we are creating such messy systems for ourselves, how do we expect society start appreciating, acknowledging, respecting industry sector and start calling you as backbone of the country? You can't expect that. So it is high time that we, including pollution control, but I am a part of you. Okay, you are the major players, maybe I'm the umpire. So if game has to be fair, players has to follow the rules, and umpire also has to be, impartial. So I'm one of, member in the whole game. We have to strengthen our systems in right direction, addressing these small nitty-gritties, so that our problems are minimum and our opportunities are maximum, and we will become a asset to everybody, and our country will develop. All is well. Okay. For this, we need not reinvent wheels. We need not do, because we are very intelligent people. Okay. We just have to observe nature, try to bend the linear curve that we have created for so many years, bend it like Beckham to make it circular. Number one. Number two, look at nature again, try to diversify like different life forms, so that each one can link each other, depend on each other, create a complex web of interdependence, so that there is no waste on this earth, or there is no waste that we leave as a carbon footprint, so that things will be in right direction. I'm not, these are simple thoughts. Even sometimes, we get carried over by wrong perceptions. Recently, one industry came that and then told, sir, we are developing a lake. Okay, we are developing a lake. We are spending some 25 crores. I was so happy to, yeah, check here, you are doing good job. I simply asked them, क्या कर रहे हो आप लोग? Lake development. They told, sir, first we are desilting lake. Good. Then, sir, we are creating bund to store water. Good. Then, sir, we are fencing with chain link mesh. Good. Then, sir, we are putting some roads for people to walk around. And then we are putting some trees, shrubs, herbs to improve vegetation. All those things. So we are putting labors, inaugurating kind of a thing. Spending 25 crores. I told, okay, good, yaar, अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. I asked only a simple question. I thought lake is water. I thought lake matlab primary ingredient is water. Now the major problem of that lake was the water that was coming to that lake is polluted. Okay. Now if you treat that water, if you treat that sewage and let it to that lake, that is the first activity that you should have been taking. So what are you doing for that sewage? Sir, kuch nahi, sir, we have created a diversion channel and then sewage is going down. Just imagine, water is the first ingredient of that lake. Now, you would have simply studied, as a 7th standard student, lake ecosystem is a right angle landscape where water has to be stored in at different lengths, so that it get rejuvenated by natural systems of different herbs, shrubs, birds, insects, everything, and clean water is going out. Now by desilting, the right angle landscape, you are making it as a U landscape, so sewage will come and store there, destroying the natural capability of that lake even to treat sewage. You are not treating sewage. You are destroying the natural capability of the lake ecosystem to treat that sewage, and also you are diverting that sewage to downstream, and you are polluting. The concentration will increase, no? Because that sewage will get additional concentration from the downstream, and their concentration and then their dangerous potability will increase. What all out of 25 crores, had he spent even 2 crores, there could have been even a stopgap STP to treat that sewage, and then this lake could have been developed. It doesn't need real research to find what I'm doing, but unfortunately, we human beings, the more intelligent we become, the more advanced we become, somewhere we are forgetting basics. Somewhere we are forgetting basics, and industry sector being highly intellectual, highly economical community, somewhere in the down the lane, we might have missed some basic ethics of natural ecosystems, natural theories, that are there on this earth for millions of years. It is simply if we observe these and try to encompass those principles, those solutions in our systems, industrial ecosystem, now I'm calling it as industrial ecosystems, then industrial ecosystem will become sustainable. Okay, forget about today. We are talking of natural ecosystems region. Now we have to, industry, I should think of industrial ecosystems, how healthy it is, how bad it is, and how I can repair my industrial ecosystems by applying natural principles of natural ecosystems. Let me put my house in order. Let me develop a better system so that industrial ecosystem will become healthy. And once this happens, take it from me, the puzzles that I was thrown with initially, whether it is backbone or community beneficiary community showing apathy to industry, will definitely be addressed, and we will be we will definitely become a prosperous state, country, and society. Okay, these are some of the few thoughts that I wanted to put across the honorable members, and I thank organizers, I thank CAA, I thank BCAC, I thank Parshuram, I thank Vidyasankar sir, everybody and all for giving me this opportunity to share some thoughts. Thank you.
Ramesh, you're not audible.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks for your time, Mr. Srinivasalu. It was an excellent thing that we thought maybe we lost some time. I think you have definitely given your time. I don't know how busy you were. And since we have moved to almost now beyond our scheduled time, I will take all the questions that have been posed. These are simple things. Maybe we will get back to you with some amount of. These are mainly some of. I don't call it as a hint. There are thought process which to share with the Pollution Control Board. Otherwise, it was a thought-provoking discussion. I think definitely you made us rethink that, yeah, waste as a byproduct is something which we need to rethink. And more so that motivated all of us to say industry, why people don't call us as a backbone. I think you gave us a little bit honor. I would just take this as, but definitely having understood this contribution is very much necessary. And BCIC would definitely work towards this and join hands with the Pollution Control Board, whatever the discipline that is necessary, whatever the standards that needs to be deployed. So we would definitely collaborate in the next days, Mr. Srinivasalu, to take it forward. I would request Parshuram sir to bring few words from your side on this thought-provoking discussion today.
Thank you, Ramesh ji. Sir, very, very good evening. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, what a thought-provoking session today. In fact, today all my friends were expecting you're going to talk about the CFO, CFE, some of the initiatives by the KSPCB. I think you have gone maybe 1,000 kilometers above the sea level. I think you have looked at the big picture. You described as Earth is beautiful blue ball. You should be able to put it in your pocket. I think the message you have given today is something very, very inspiring. Instead of, getting us fish, I think you have taught us fishing, to put it very, very short. I think the kind of analysis you have done, why industry today not being the backbone, I'm sure it's a wake-up call. I think it's not only a message to BCIC, I would call it as a message to the nation. I think what are all the roles and responsibilities not only from the economy point of view, but from ecology point of view, as you rightly put it. Sir, to be honest with you, in fact, not all are bad boys. Unfortunately, 80% of the 90%, I would say, or 95% are excellent. Those 5% of the people, I think, as you rightly said, I think how to visualize those industries. In fact, it is really mind-boggling, and sometimes we feel very sad because definitely they are not a part of the ecology, and they are operating from a different level. And recent challenges also, we know that those polluting industries, what kind of actions we should initiate. It's very unfortunate that as an ecosystem they're able to sustain. The second point you have brought in is how industries definitely can look at recycling. I think I liked your thought on linearity and cycling. Very beautiful way of putting it. Quoting the examples of forest. In fact, always I used to think a deer is created in a forest to take care of the grass, and the tiger takes care of the deer. And the deer and the tiger is again taken care of by the hunter. So this is a kind of a cycle that the whole world is evolving. And of course, balancing act, even rotation of earth, movement of stars and celestial bodies, occurrence of day and night, flowering of trees, they're all based on some order. I think the ecological order, once that order is disturbed, I think there is calamity. So you brought that big picture so beautifully, sir, today. In fact, I don't think it could have been explained in such a simple terms. I think you're just not an ordinary KSBCB member secretary, sir. You are a great mentor to the industry. Let me put it this way. I think this kind of a thought process across the nation, I think definitely should spread that vibration. And I'm sure definitely we can create the ripples of change. And we'll also share your message to a larger audience through the chamber, through our website, and through the social media, sir. Once again, I have no words to thank you, because I think a very inspiring speech. Let me tell you, I have heard several speeches on environment. I think you gave us the Bhagavad Gita, the 18th chapter. I think so, in such a simple form. And on behalf of all our members, I think I only wish a lot of audience should have listened today, because it's not an ordinary thing. It reminds me of Swami Vivekananda, 1853, the speech at Chicago. Today when you came, people are expecting that you're going to talk about some many rules and this thing. But I think very simply, the three Megath story and how you link them, you cycled them very beautifully, I think, as nature. So thank you so much. And once again, we are very grateful from Bangalore Chamber. I'm sure all my friends will be very happy. And we look forward to hearing you in the next occasion also. And as a small token of our appreciation, sir, I request our secretariat to play the video. We'll reach you this memento in person as a small memory of Bangalore Chambers.
Thank you.
Gigi.
Sure, yes, sir. We're having it, sir. Let's also hear the national anthem, sir. A minute of
Thank you.
silence.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you.
Rupa, can we have the national anthem?
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब गुजरात
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा हिमाचल यमुना गंगा चञ्चल जलधि तरङ्गा शुभ नामे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे बालक भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you once again all to all the
Thank you all.
participants.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ramesh ji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prithvi.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh ji. Thank you, President.
Thank you.